Cormac, how does it feel to be back in an All-Ireland final? It's been 2 years since being there, so it must be nice.
Yeah, no, it's great. At the end of the day, like you want to be playing All-Ireland finals, but at the same time nothing's won yet, but it's great to be back there.
Yeah, did you watch the Dublin Kerry semi-final?
I did. Very, very competitive game and could have went either way. Very similar to our game, could have went either way. So that's what you expect this time of year. Like the margins are a lot closer. So it was a cracking game.
Obviously, then straight away after the game you've got Kerry. So what do you think about Kerry? A lot of history there, a lot of tradition. How would you describe the matchup?
Yeah, they're worthy champions. It's going to be a battle. We're under no illusions as well. Like the Kerry are. You look at the form that they're in this year and the quality that they have, the forwards that they have, the players all over the pitch that they have. So it's going to be a very tough game. But looking forward to the next 2 weeks preparation and giving our best shot.
When you look back to last year's All-Ireland semi-final, that was massive for them because for years they had tried to get over Dublin, they couldn't do it, and they did it that day. So they'll come into this game with a lot of confidence. Big
time, and deservedly so. Like, they're deserved All-Ireland champions, and last year we weren't close enough, and they were the better side at the end of the day. So it's about us now trying to put our best foot forward and get a really good performance. And you would have seen there we were very disappointed in the first half last year, so you can't afford that at this level and this time of year. So you really need to go after that 70 minutes plus performance, really.
Does that defeat, do you remember that one? Was it a particular low one for Dublin?
Last year? Yeah, big time. Yeah, when you're so close, but at the end of the day we were on the wrong side of the result. But if you look at the games gone past, there's plenty of games where we have won by a point or after a replay where we were very lucky to, where the other team probably deserved to win. So I'm not saying that if we did deserve to win last year, but like I said, the margins are so small at this level that it was a tough one.
And what do you feel has changed this year that you're back in an All-Ireland final where you want to be? The likes of Pat Gilroy coming in, you have a lot of experience back, the likes of Stephen Clarkson back in there as well. Does all of that help?
Yeah, of course it helps. You have, obviously you mentioned Steve, and you have Jack and Paul back as well, and even just the younger lads who were on the team last year, the year before, they have another year experience under the belt as well. So and a lot of them would have got some game time in the championship and the league last year and then this year. So all of that added is going to add to a better team, I suppose.
Yeah, just when I was speaking to Brian there, I was asking about Stephen Clarkson. There was so much talk about it when he came back, obviously being the player that he is and the years that he's given to Dublin, to be back in again. Was it the right move? You're obviously in an All-Ireland final, so it obviously was the right move.
Yeah. Look, come here, you take Stephen Clarkson any day of the week, to be part of your dressing room, the level of experience he brings, the level of leadership he brings, it can only rub off on everyone. We welcome him back with open arms, and it's great having him back in and around the group.
When you mention he's a leader, does he talk in the dressing room? Is he that type of player?
Yeah, he does. Yeah, I wouldn't say there's just one person who kind of takes that kind of vocal leadership capacity, but no, he does. Yeah, he talked, but as well as actions, like it would have been well documented before, like the level of commitment he puts into every single session, and it can only rub off on you. But he's always there for advice, and he's been there, he's seen it all, so he's someone that definitely you could go to, and if you had an issue or if you wanted some bit of inspiration or advice.
Yeah, absolutely. And we mentioned just some of those players that are back, the likes of Paul Mannion, Jack McCaffrey. They're often coming off the bench and having that influence and that impact that you need. How important is that?
No, it's very important. That's kind of the role that obviously Paul started the last game and Jack has started before, but it's just two more quality players kind of added into the group, and everyone has different roles at different stages of the game. You don't know what the team's going to be in the final, who's going to have what role or what capacity. There's plenty of lads there who aren't even making the match day travel game, which is the same with every team, but at the end of the day it's the trains that drive the performance that helps the preparation. Those guys are very big as well.
Yeah, those players that aren't making the panel, they're so important, for training, to pushing things on. I'm sure you've been there yourself at times throughout your career. I know you've come off the bench many times, you're starting now, but I suppose to have the mentality to keep going, it's so important to have that, and I don't think every player has that. It's a real important thing, and maybe only the players that are still playing at county level have that.
Yeah, no, it's hard. It is hard at times, and especially when you're a younger player and you might be representing Dublin or whatever your county is, all the way, and obviously when you get to senior level and you're not making panels, and like I said, I've been there in that position. I say majority of lads have been. There's only a couple that maybe have went straight into a team and started straight away. So it is about buying in, and the team comes first kind of thing. And you kind of, how do you get that? You get that by creating a bond and a trust within the group, that you say, right, there's a bigger picture here, and by me throwing a huff and not performing well in training, it's going to affect the group then and their preparation. So you have to really buy into it, but and the lads really have, and I think that's what makes the group so close and so tight knit.
How would you describe Dessie Farrell as a manager?
Dessie's a legend, yeah. But he's no, look, I know Dessie quite well. I was lucky enough to have him underage as well, and we had a very successful mine and under 21 age groups, and then now obviously he's a senior manager as well. So no, he's a very personable guy, and he's someone who's great experience. He's been there and done it himself as a player. He'll give it to you straight between the eyes as well. But no, he's top class.
And obviously you're coming up against Footballer of the Year at the minute, David Clifford. He's doing unbelievable things on the pitch. You know, it's amazing to watch, and I'm sure everyone appreciates it. What will it be like to face him in an All-Ireland final?
Yeah, like he's a quality player, isn't he? Like, you know, you can't. Yeah, I'm just thankful I'm not marking him. You know, thankfully I'm a forward. Yeah, but no, he's some player, isn't he?
Mm-hmm. He is unbelievable. And for Dublin and the forwards, you know, there's been question marks sometimes. Are they clicking? All of this is being asked. What do you feel about it?
About which, sorry?
About the forwards for Dublin. Are they clicking at the minute?
Yeah, like we know what we're after. Like, at the end of the day, like, every single forward isn't going to shoot the lights out every single game. So, like, you know, you might have a different role each game. So, no, there is a good cohesiveness up top, and look, we know where we're at ourselves, and look, we're really enjoying it at the minute.
So you'll be looking forward to it. Obviously, Kerry Dublin. It's a massive game. Will your friends, family, your club, they'll all be in there? Yeah.
No, look, I'm very lucky that I have a lot of support at home, my family, and then my club Whitehall, Colmkill, they're excellent as well, and the Dublin supporters in general, like they do travel, and you would have seen our couple of away games there, like sending us, like, you know, down the country and things like that. So no, that there is a great support network there, which is always nice to have, you know. And
I'm sure this is what you dreamt of, you know, All Ireland finals in Croke Park. Over 80,000 people.
I know it is. It's where you want to be, isn't it? It's the pinnacle. But at the end of the day, like I said, there's no point in being there. Like, you know, there's nothing's won yet, so all you can do is give it your best shot. Like.
Brilliant, Cormac. Thanks for your time.
No
Best
problem.
of luck. Dessie Farrell, how does it feel to be in the All Ireland final?
Yeah, it's brilliant. You know, there's great excitement and buzz around the squad. Everyone's really looking forward to it.
Yeah, we were just speaking there about, you know, doing the media and all that as part and parcel of it all. Do you enjoy it?
Look, you'd I need to answer this politically, but it's great to be in a position to have to do media days for All Ireland final. I know players, managers, they're probably not terribly comfortable in these situations, but it's part and parcel of the big day, and we're only too delighted to do it.
Yeah, and for you, obviously going from a Dublin player, you've obviously lots of experience then as a manager, and then coming on to the senior team as Dublin manager of the senior team. How do you feel about all of that? Like, was that always the goal?
No, I wouldn't say it was always the goal. I think you know, as a young boy, you love football and you wanted to do your best. Then at some stage playing for Dublin became part of the story, if you like, and I think after retirement I definitely was intrigued with the idea of maybe working with younger players and developing them and coaching them, and so that's the path I took, and somehow ended up in this position.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've took a lot of those players from the under-21s and the likes up here to the senior team as well, and that's important to have that relationship with them.
Yeah, it goes back further than that. Some of them I've worked with since under-13 level, and you know, in some ways you've seen them grow from young boys to young men, and you know, that's been a very privileged position, and they're a special group for sure. And then we've added more and more young players as we went along with minor teams and under 21 teams and different generations and iterations of those teams. So a lot of them are in the mix now, and of course there's a whole new generation of players that have come in the last 2 seasons that aren't household names but are really, really important to us. I think over 20 players have come in the last 2 seasons, which is a significant number out of a panel of 38. So for a lot of them this is all very, very new and very different, and they're in a privileged position as well, having some of the senior guys to rely on for counsel and advice and guidance, and they're great mentors, and the young lads are great students. So yeah, we're happy with how it's all come together.
Yeah, you definitely brought a lot of those more experienced players back in this year. Obviously Stephen Clarkson, and there was so much talk about it at the time. You know, was it or was it not the best decision to bring him back in? You're in an All-Ireland final. It must have been a good decision to bring him back. Yeah,
and look, what Stephen has just been one of those great players for Dublin. You know, he's been an absolute ambassador and fantastic servant, and he had said that if we ever needed him, he could be called upon. And Evan Comerford, who was the number one since Stephen had left, got a serious injury and was out for a prolonged period of time, and we needed Stephen to come back, and he was only too happy to oblige, being the type of individual he was. Evan is back now, of course, from the injury, and with Dave O'Hanlon in throughout the National League as well, who didn't put a foot wrong, you know. So from a manager's perspective, it's great to have Stephen put those other two players on form, and there's real competition for that position, and that's what you want in every position.
Yeah, absolutely. And you also brought in Jack McCaffrey, Paul Mannion, even Pat Gilroy coming back in. You know, a lot of the names that are well known within Dublin football came back in as well this year. And you know, is that needed to go all the way? Was that the plan?
Yeah, well, I think over the last couple of seasons, we've been challenged with the depth and strength on the bench within the squad. That may not have always been the case in the years before that, but you know, naturally with retirements and whatnot, it's always going to be difficult to replace some of those once in a generation, once in a lifetime type players, and the conveyor belt, while it's producing great young men, it's not producing the experience that's required at this stage of the competition. So, you know, we just felt at the start of the season that if we could add some strength and depth and some experience, that would be brilliant. But, you know, there's a lot said about the more experienced fellas coming back. Stephen, Paul, Jack, but again, sort of, we give great credit and acknowledge fully the younger players who've come in, because they've brought the energy, they've rejuvenated some of the senior guys as well, and everyone seems to be enjoying their football, which is great.
Yeah, and I think for a lot of neutrals as well, seeing Dublin Kerry in an All-Ireland final, there's a lot of history there. How would you describe the rivalry or tradition? How would you describe it?
Yeah, it's intense for sure. It's there's huge admiration on both sides, great respect. It's been one of the great bastions of tradition in Gaelic football. It's a competitive rivalry for sure. You know, as a child growing up in the 70s in Dublin, you couldn't be but taken by those great games and that golden era of players on both sides, and many of them were my childhood heroes growing up. So it's interesting to see the biggest game of 2023 culminate in that tradition and that rivalry, and those two great competitors coming together again.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many threats all over the team for Kerry. Like, obviously the midfield battle is probably going to be one big talking point throughout it, but of course David Clifford, and he's doing some unbelievable stuff on the pitch. How are you going to stop him, Dessie?
Yeah, it keeps us awake late at night for sure. He's a special talent. I actually love watching him play, because he's so gifted, and you know, obviously we've got to do our best to try and minimise his impact. It's not going to be easy. I think we have to accept that he is who he is, and he's in such a rich vein of form. He's been so impressive all season, and that he's going to play like he does, you know. So it's we can't become sort of overburdened with the idea of trying to stop him playing either, because that won't necessarily serve as well, because they have some other key threats in their forward division, and then you look at some of their defenders, their backs, that are so comfortable in attack as well. So, you know, you turn off a tap somewhere else and it opens a floodgate elsewhere, you know. So it's you just got to get that balance right.
Yeah, is it about man marking him well, or is it about stopping the supply? I'm sure they're all the things that you're going to be thinking of.
It's a bit of both, and whatever else you want to throw at it as well, Ashley. exactly, yeah.
Absolutely. So you're very much looking forward to it. Does there be a pressure that comes with it as Dublin manager to be in All Irelands, to be winning All Irelands?
No, I don't think so. I think the pressure we put on ourselves as players and management and coaches is, you know, we want to be the best version of ourselves we possibly can on any given day. And I know that sounds cliched, but I think that's how we have to look at it. You know, it's the focus is very much internally. Yeah, we'll do our research and homework on the opposition, but it has to be about getting us absolutely ready to compete as hard as we can for as long as we can, and that's what the focus is.
A lot of people will look at last year's All-Ireland semi-final. You know, for so long Kerry tried to get over Dublin, they couldn't do it, and they finally did it that day, so they'll come in with a lot of confidence.
They will, and rightly so. They've been great champions. You know, you love watching Kerry play because they're quite similar to ourselves. They want to attack, they want to play front foot football, they're very creative, play with lots of imagination, special group of players. Jack and his management team have done a great job. So, you know, the test and the challenge couldn't be any greater, but ultimately that's the way you'd want it in an All-Ireland final, and we've got to rise to that challenge and, as I say, compete as best we can.
Brilliant, Dessie. Thanks so much for your time.